YouTube, or will there probably not be anyone in?
No, probably not.
Okay.
But it records it.
Cool.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Dieting and Donuts with Jared and Grant. So we originally do this live video on Facebook, but Facebook has kicked us off
like 18 times.
Yeah, like 18 times. And so we figured we just come on here, upload it with YouTube. That way we can then just upload it to Facebook. So we've already talked for like a good hot minute on what we were going to talk about. So what we'll do is just to make this kind of one big thing, we'll consolidate it and kind of go very briefly over the first part of what we were going over tonight, and then kind of pick back up where we left off when Facebook was being a dick. So,
so topics that we've already discussed are basically how to find your calorie deficit. And if you want, there will be a way to find a much more in-depth version of this. It'll be on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you want to more in-depth on this, but so I'll give mine super quick, and then you can give yours. So how I like to go about deficit is clients track for in a 2 time period. I want them to weigh themselves at the same time every single morning upon waking up. And I want them to track their food without changing anything with their diet. So just a normal day in the life of Bob. I want Bob to track his food without changing anything. And I want him to do that consistently for 2 weeks, very meticulously. Then at the end of that, what we'll do, or what I'll coach, is I'll figure out the trend. So let's say that his weight stayed the same throughout the 2 weeks and his average calories were about 2,000. So now we've established Bob's maintenance calories, and then we can start figuring out what his goals are, and then we can adjust his calories accordingly. So I like to first find the maintenance, then go about finding the proper deficit.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, that I'll give a little bit of philosophy why. You don't know where you're going with, or if I were to call you and say, hey, Grant, I'm lost. How do I get home? How do I get home?
Well, where are you?
It depends. You can't accurately answer that without knowing where that person's at. It's the same thing with fat loss and calories. If you're like, hey, how do I not be fat and get lean? How many calories do I need? Like, depends if you've been overeating. It depends if you've been severely overeating. If you've been undereating, if you've been rocking 800 calories, that's different if you've been rocking 4,000. So that's why what you need to do first is take about a week at least to just a normal day in the life of you. Eat whatever you normally eat. Just track it and be brutally honest with yourself, no matter how bad it looks. And then usually from that, we can see what we need to do. Because chances are 9 times out of 10, you're eating way more than you think you are.
Right.
Like you may be like, oh yeah, I bet eat around 1,500. No, you probably eat close to 3,000.
Right.
And then based on that, go from that higher amount, just drop it back a couple hundred calories. Mm-hmm. So if you can get away with eating a lot of food, like say you find out you're like, fuck, I eat 4,000 calories a day, go to 3,700.
Right.
And you will lose weight on 3,700. A lot of people are like, well, I feel like it's a lot of weight or food to eat while trying to, I'm like, but you'll lose.
Right.
It's in that video. So if you want to check that out and go over on our Facebook.
And that'll be posted there. And there will probably be a couple of videos posted there.
It's fucking garbage.
The main one is like 30-minute segment. It goes much more in depth into that.
But
that's something you're interested in.
But we wanted to at least put this at least in one video. So now let's talk about the plateaus.
Plateaus, right.
So a little bit of recap on what we've talked about so far with plateaus is 9 times out of 10, you're not in a plateau.
Yeah. So I think before that, so a plateau is basically when progress ceases. So you are at a level and you are maintaining that level. That is the definition of a plateau.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and like Jared was saying, 9 times, probably more than that. It's probably like, 9.999 you're actually just not being honest with yourself.
Right.
And that can be, you're not tracking your food. You're not pushing yourself in the gym. You're just not being honest about what you're
compared to what you were doing. Because a lot of times people say, oh, Jared, I'm in a plateau. I haven't lost any more weight. And they went from counting meticulously and weighing out their food to eyeballing and estimating, which means you're eating more than what you think. Right. Or they went from training 5 days a week into the gym to 3, or went from sleeping 8 hours a night to 2, like whatever.
And that actually, if you guys want to check out, I think it might've been our first or second, one of them about intuitive eating. That's another thing too, where if you go from meticulously tracking your calories, then you think, I've got a pretty good grasp on things. I can now just eyeball
intuitively eat.
Yeah. That some people are good with, some people are fantastic with that, but I would not recommend it.
Right. And that's a whole nother topic. We did that last week. But that's the thing with plateaus, guys, is here's the thing. It takes a while to get into a plateau. You've got to be consistent in it before you start to plateau. And that's the thing. Even if you're in a plateau, one of the best things you can do is just keep trucking and keep sticking to what you're doing. Because eventually your body will see that as the point. It will probably drop more. Right. But that's when we could consider altering the program a little bit, adding calories, taking more away, whatever the case is, because a lot of it depends. A lot of this is contextual. That's why we're trying to give as many tools and resources with this as we can without knowing you personally. But
right. Because for example, sorry,
you can
cut you off. So like, for example, if let's say you actually have hit a plateau and you're very early on in the stages of your weight loss journey, like let's say that you were eating a lot of food, like I think you gave the example of 4,000 calories, then you lose 3,700. It's okay at that point, reduce again. So maybe you want to eat 3,500.
Chances are cramping your lifestyle.
Right. And then, like, let's say you get to, so you do that. So you plateau and you go down by 200. Then let's say you get to 2,500. And at that point, you're like, fuck my life. I cannot go down again.
Right.
Because you obviously can't eat yourself down.
Right. Case dependent, because let's say you're a 130-pound petite female who to lose weight, you have to eat 1,500 calories and you plateau. And then you, let's say after 2-3 months, you plateau and then you're down at 1,200. Your life starts to suck. And then you're not just going to keep going until you hit 900 calories.
Right.
That's when how I like to take with my clients is I like to add calories back. Now, understand this. When you add calories back, you will gain weight. More than likely from water and because you physically have more food sitting as shit in your stomach. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, though, you are going out of a fat loss phase into a maintenance phase. Because what happens is, assuming you've been in a deficit for 12 weeks, just big span of time, at least 6 weeks, bare minimum, you've been in a deficit. So which means by nature of coming up to maintenance, adding a couple hundred, called maintenance for a reason. It's not like it's going to make you fat or throw you into a surplus. All you're doing is slowly titrating your calories back up. Mm-hmm. Because in the same way, if your body can acclimate and adapt, because your body is an adaptation machine, just like Grant said, your body can adapt slowly to tapering calories down by law of polarity, you can do it the other way. But where people go wrong with this is they haven't been consistent in a deficit yet. They've been fat for a long time, and then they're like, I'm going to reverse diet, and then they just eat more food and they get fatter.
Right.
Versus for you to do a proper reverse diet and where you slowly add calories back in to get to a bigger calorie intake where you can lose weight at higher calories, you have to have come from being in a deficit for a very long extended period of time.
Right. Yeah. And, that too, it is very, very, very scary the first time you've done this. Like, you 60 pounds. Hell yeah. One of our, the coaches are like, all right, time to reverse diet. And you're like, not eating more. I've been losing all this weight. You're going to make me eat more. And then I'm going to get fat again. That is not the case.
Nope. And this is where you have a little bit of blind faith. A real life example. One of my girls I work with, one of my online coaching girls hit me up when she started my program. I had her do the same thing for the nutrition. We're talking about the nutrition side of it. And I had her, I was like, all right. And I said, okay, I want you to track your calories for a full 7 days before we do anything. And she's like, okay. She sent me all that data over. And she had been, prior to working with me, a super consistent, what was it? I think it was 1,400. She's a smaller petite girl, but she's active as fuck. In her case, she manages a Starbucks and works like 8 to 12 hour shifts on her feet and does 8 to 10 workouts a week at home in a very HIIT style fashion. And she has a very lifestyle. So she, for a small petite girl, is very, very active. So, but the problem was for at least 6 to 8 weeks on her own prior to working with me, she has been eating 1,400 calories and not losing any weight. So I said, I want to reverse diet you. Because we can't go from 14 to 900. That's garbage. Because her life would suck. So what we're going to do is I said, I want to add calories back in because of the level of consistency you've had in a deficit. And I jumped her to 1,700. So added 300 calories to her every day. I jumped her protein intake higher because her protein was like 80 grams a day, 100 grams a day. So I jumped it between 110 and 130. Within the first week, she hit a new low body weight, adding more calories back. And that's 9 times out of 10 what happens. So that's why the only time, in my opinion, a reverse diet works well is when you had an extended period of time being in a deficit. So
right. And there's not a unfortunately there's not a one size fits all blueprint for everyone. You know, that's honestly why it's important to have been doing this for a hot second, because they know a lot of different things and they know, you know, exactly what to do. Now, is there anything else that we want to talk about with Plateaus? Or?
I mean, that's the big ticket items with the Plateaus, guys, is first of all, make sure you're in one, because 90% of you watching this are not. You've just gotten lazy, and I say that with all the love in my heart, but you've probably gotten lazy and you've let habits slide.
Right. Leave your ego or make sure that you're being honest.
Brutally honest with yourself. Like even the stuff that like licks, tastes, bites, a piece of this, just one cake pop from Starbucks. If you eat 7 pieces of gum a day, those have calories, a little bit of creamer in your coffee. All of that adds up. It's just like the, you know, $1 here, a couple bucks here, grab a bite to eat there, a t-shirt on sale here, a pair of shoes there. And before you know it, your paycheck's gone. It's the same thing with your food. And then if you actually are in a plateau, you're just making small adjustments to kind of go through it. Or 9 times out of 10, just wait it out. Just keep being consistent regardless of results. Girls in the tribe, Julia, she was talking about that. I just had her on the podcast the other day because of her success she's been seeing. She hadn't progressed in like 2 months.
Oh yeah.
And she just kept doing what she knew she had to. She didn't drop her calories. She didn't add calories. She just kept things consistent. And she then, I don't know, hit a new low body weight. Because I believe a massive part of that is the body establishing a new place of homeostasis where it's its new set point. So,
and you know, it's not like, so, and this is another thing too that we actually didn't talk about. Did talk about this? Did we talk about this? A plateau isn't like nothing happened in 2 weeks. A plateau is like, for the past month, I've been doing everything 100% and I'm being honest.
Right.
And then at that point,
I had an Instagram.
Hello.
What's that?
Then at that point, yes, you're in a plateau.
Yeah. But most people, if they haven't seen progress in a week, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm in a plateau," which isn't true. All right, let's get into the third subject, and I think we got actually a few questions from this.
Sure.
Someone from Facebook just hopped over.
Welcome from Facebook.
Right.
Fast food
fat loss.
Fast food fat loss. Dieting on fast food, or
basically, let's say just because we're real people. And most of you watching this are real parents and college students and people who do not have their entire day dedicated to
people that
fitness.
Fast food. Yeah.
So like, let's say you're a busy dad, you're a college student, you have a busy lifestyle, and we all get caught in a car and we're like, fuck, I haven't eaten in 7 hours. Okay, McDonald's. So is there any tactics that you have? I have some that I'll talk about and see if maybe we have some ones that are different. That way we just don't talk about the same thing. Do you have any that you specifically are like, okay, here's some good options? Fast, not just like options, but principles or tactics for handling if like you're just stuck in a car all day and you got to hit fast food.
Sure. So I think first thing about it's kind of like a myth buster. So everyone assumes that this is what everyone thinks. I go to a fast food place, so like McDonald's, Wendy's, whatever. So I will get a salad, and then they think that's the healthy option. I have actually, if you get like a full-size salad and you use all of the dressing, you put in the croutons, I don't want to give a number here, but most of the time they are more calories than would be a hamburger with a small fry.
Truth. Or if not, or the same, like, yeah.
So that said, understand that your preconceived notion of what's actually healthy is probably wrong.
Well, and especially if we're talking things like this, like it's easy. And usually right now, keyboard assholes are like, well, I'd rather overeat a salad than overeat a burger. No, they both will make you fat as fuck. So why not have the one you enjoy?
Right.
I mean, but no, because one thing I was doing last night for one of my online coaching clients, because one thing that Grant and I do for our clients is, let's say we have someone who's just a busy person. We'll have you give us your like top 5 or 10 restaurants and we will go make quick lists for you. That's what I did with my guy last night. And it was astounding. Some of the restaurants, I just haven't looked at their menus before just because he's not from around here.
Like what you think is healthy is not.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, these will be easy. And I looked and I'm like, holy shit. Like you're talking about 1,400 calorie salads. Right. And then versus like a 500 calorie burger, you know,
and even not, I mean, just any not even fast food, any restaurant for that matter. I mean, You know, if you look at like the Chili's menu, if you go to like a steakhouse, most of the time you'll get these big elaborate salads that, you know, you would have been much better just getting the steak
burger.
or the hamburgers or whatever.
Yeah.
So leave aside your preconceived notions. Now, that said, one of my tips is, like, let's say you do want to get a salad. Like, so take a chicken salad. Instead of getting a breaded chicken salad or a breaded chicken sandwich, just get a grilled chicken sandwich. There are little things. Or with a salad, maybe you use half the packet of dressing as opposed to the 2 that they give you.
Yeah. One of my favorites is the cheat sheet. Most people, it's like, it's that there's a cliche saying, I can't remember who said it. Was it, I think it was I don't remember. Some important person said it. It was basically something along the lines of I think 30 minutes of preparation saves you an hour in execution, because most people wait till they're in the drive-through at the speaker. It's like, oh fuck, I gotta, and then there's like, just give me a number 1 with an extra large, quadruple, blah, 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 blah. Versus like what I was doing for my client. I basically have a quick list. You hit the same 10 restaurants, I promise. Probably less than that. You can dial it down to the top 3.
We're creatures of habit.
We are. And so you have your top 3. Even if you're like traveling and you don't know what's in that city, you know, like for example, if your boy rolls through a city, I don't know, and I see a billboard with food places on it, I am going to hit a Taco Bell, a Wendy's, and an Arby's every single day before I would hit a McDonald's, a Burger King, or a Steak and Shake, whatever. Just because those are my preferences. So you should pick your top 5 to 10 restaurants that you would go to frequently and have a quick list ready. That way you're prepared and ready to go.
Right. So what you're saying is, you know that a number 5 McDonald's has X amount of calories in it.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah. Or like breaded chicken tenders are way better than any salad. You could go to like almost any restaurant and get like a 4-piece breaded chicken tender for like 400 calories at like 20 to 30 grams of protein, versus get your average chicken salad and it's going to be like 600 or 700 calories at 10 grams of protein.
Right.
Like, but you wouldn't have known that unless you did your homework. But most people are so fucking lazy, they won't do their homework. So that's why one of my biggest tips, just have a cheat sheet. Literally just have like, okay, McDonald's, here's my 5 options I will choose from. Here's this. Because now, this is current day and age, almost every single place has their menu and calories online listed.
Right.
Every single one.
And so I think some other ones, and this is probably pretty obvious, but so, you know, let's say that you're going out and, you know, you get a number 1 with something, and that comes with a drink. You know, instead of getting the 400 calorie large soda, get a diet soda
or water, or like a
water,
Gatorade Zero or something. Yeah, 100%.
And then also, what do they always ask you? Would you like that small, medium, or large? The best thing that you can do if you're trying to budget and lose some weight, get the small.
Yeah,
it's less calories.
100%.
Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think what are some other ones. Because there's on most menus, there's some unorthodox ones that you're like, really? Like, yeah. Like, for example, do you realize like a large chili from Wendy's is only like 300 calories and has almost 30 grams of protein?
Really?
Yeah, like stuff like that. You're like, no shit. It's like most menus have that, where they have that. Oh, no shit.
Well, so now kind of going off of that said, don't assume that fast food is the enemy. I'm not saying that it's all contextual. Right. It's all contextual. You know, they're like that, you know, 300 calories, 30 grams of protein. That's pretty good. Right.
Like, granted, yeah, things are more processed, but here's the thing. We live in we average people. I'm sorry, we're not all Olympian athletes where our life and job is predicated on eating at Whole Foods and going to the gym, because we're all, including Grant and myself, people. That's why we have to prepare for not normal situations. Yeah, that's why donuts. And he needs to have a donut. But that's the thing, is I'll make a post about fast food on like for fat loss, and I'll have some Instagram warrior, and that's like, if you're truly serious, you should never have fast food. Like, but no, I mean, all you busy moms out there who's got to take your kid to soccer practice while the other one's up, then you got to go back and pick the one up and drop the one off, and then go return and go take someone to school here and go to a meeting here, and your day is lived down of a minivan. You better fucking learn how to eat, how to handle things at Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King, and all these restaurants, because you know you're gonna have to use it. It's not a matter of like, oh no, I shouldn't do it. Fuck, I'm here. Is understand and be very responsive, not reactionary. Be very responsive to like, no, I know I'm going to end up there, so I'm going to basically handle it accordingly.
Right. I mean, if you know that like to get to work, you have to drive over a spike strip, and you know that you're going to be driving over that spike strip every single day, then what are you going to do? Well, you're probably going to bring spare tires.
Truth.
So in the same regard, if you know that you're going to be getting fast food on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because your kid has a soccer game, then yeah, be prepared.
Yeah.
Cheat sheet. I like that.
Yeah, literally. That's one of the things that we both do for our coaching clients who are super busy. We will literally be the one. We'll literally go help them with their menus at restaurants.
Right.
Like I literally, my dude Chris that just started. I literally did homework on 10 different restaurants last night for him.
Right.
And sent him everything over.
But so now, first and foremost, I will say, do food freedom, so to speak. Whereas, we don't like, I don't think either of us are big on like meal plans and that.
Right.
That's not what we're
hitting. No. And I'm glad you said that, because I don't mean to say I'm telling him what to eat. Basically, my guy and a lot of people who we work with are fucking clueless on how to stay within their goals, go into fast food and things like that. So basically I basically picked off the best items on the menu. Like, hey bro, here's going to be the lowest calories, highest protein, most fun foods to eat. That way I don't just put grilled chicken salad at every fucking menu, where that way, instead of him trying to pull up to Arby's and be like, oh shit, I got to stay in my goals, because keep in mind, this also has to do with, it's all contextual. I know I sound like a fucking politician, but like, if you don't go out to eat very often, go get whatever you want. Like, who cares? My guy eats out every day.
Right. So then,
because he's he's in his car for work all day, every day. So a lot of it is it going to fuck with your goal? If you don't hit a fast food joint, but once every 2 weeks, just get whatever you want. But if it's like, no, it's more frequent than that, then we got to be a little more tactical with it. Right. And that's what I was meaning is, if you're a soccer mom who has to do that a lot, you got a cheat sheet's the best way to go.
Right.
Is there any other tricks you had up your sleeve?
I mean, I would never recommend anyone do this, because no one likes that asshole that's like stripping the buns off of stuff. But let's say that you really are trying to min-max, your calories for the day. Maybe you'll go get a grilled chicken sandwich and take off the buns.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that carbs are evil, but they are calories.
Yeah, or a lot of it's how you order it. I know people who'll go to like a more of a, not a high-end restaurant, but like just a normal sit-down Applebee's kind of restaurant, and will like just say, I just want.
You're saying that Applebee's isn't high-end?
It's not. No. And they're like, hey, I just want a chicken breast and some steamed broccoli. And most restaurants will do that for you. Or if you're like, hey, can you be easy on the oil on that? Or order stuff, like order your burger or your whatever plain, and then you add the ketchup and you add the mayonnaise and you add all the high calorie whatever stuff like that. Or like if you order a salad, order all the croutons, all the cheese, and the dressing on the side. You're in control. You can decide whether you want to use all the croutons or all the cheese or some of it, or that kind of thing. There's so many little tricks you can do like that, where it puts you more in the driver's seat.
I'm actually really glad that you said that. So I know that there are a lot of sweet tea lovers out there. So this hits home for me. One of the biggest things that I can recommend that you do is,
half and half.
Instead of getting that large sweet tea that's probably got 600 calories worth of sugar, a unsweetened iced tea, and then get one of those little stevia?
Oh yeah,
stevia things, and then it tastes just like sweet tea, and it's 0 calories, and then you just dump that in your.
Or to put, even if you want real sugar, let's say some people are like, I fucking hate stevia. Order sweet tea and ask for sugar packets. Right. Now, if you're adding straight table sugar, you know what's going in that bad boy.
Like stevia?
Huh?
You don't like stevia?
No, I do. I just know it tastes gross.
Monk fruit, that's also really good.
What's that?
Monk fruit, I think.
I have no idea.
Sweetener, it's really good. There are some really good, for those of you that enjoy your sweets, there's some really good sweeteners out there that taste better, in my opinion. Or you can find some that are the exact same.
Right.
That 0 calories, do the same job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's about it. Yeah. All I have for that.
Should we get to some questions?
Yeah, we'll get to some questions. I'm going to have to go through like 3 of these videos.
I know.
Penelope wrong button. Penelope asks, how do you stop self-sabotaging yourself due to depression or anxiety?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a big boy question. That's a deep one.
Do you have something right off the top of your head? I gotta think about that one for a second.
So keep in mind, if you struggle with depression and anxiety, go see a professional, right? First and foremost.
Not doctors, not psychiatrists.
I will say, the one thing I will say though, this sounds corny. Something that you can do to help that situation, just in general, auditing your environment. If you're around shitty people, get away from shitty people. If you aren't setting time for yourself a day to those things, it's going to be hard. Like even if like whether your thing is journaling, meditation, walks by yourself, listening to music, moving, going on a whatever, dog, going painting, whatever you like to do, coloring. If you don't have time set aside to work on that stuff, it's going to be a little hard. If you do not set the time aside, it's going to be hard because you can have the magic formula to fix it. But if you don't have time to actually handle that, so that's my first recommendation. Find things like that allow you to work on your mental health, like meditation, spending time with, I'm telling you, one of the best things people can do. No one spends time with themselves. But also understanding that so much of that world is getting caught in your own cyclical patterns. But if you're in the middle of the pattern, you don't know about the pattern versus learning to figure out what your patterns are. Now you're outside of it and say, oh, this is the pattern. This is not me. I actually love myself, but this is me trying to be self-deprecating. And now you're outside of it. But that's the most counselor-like thing I have to say.
So for me, I mean, so I actually, not so much anxiety, but I've had pretty bad depression for a long time. And like one of the things, because I've been like that where, you're literally just laying in bed and you're like, I have no motivation to get up and go do anything. Like I'm definitely not gonna, go to the gym. I'm sad. I want to just lay in bed. I mean, I've had that before. And, honestly, the best thing that you can do is just to reflect on the reasoning that you're going to the gym in the first place. And I would imagine, I don't know for you specifically, but me, myself, and most people that I've talked to that have depression and things like that, most of the time, if that's like preventing them from, reaching their goals, like maybe it's preventing you from going into the gym, most of the time, if you get there and do your workout, you'll probably feel better by the end of it. And once you get into the swing of things, you're probably gonna feel better about it.
Action always precedes motivation, not the other way around.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be my biggest tip is just know that, temporary and, you getting in there and doing something, it's probably going to make you feel better.
Yeah.
So look at it as like an outlet and a way to kind of combat that, instead of letting your depression prevent you from reaching your goals, know that by getting out there and doing it, that's probably going to help you combat your depression.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, invest any amount of time and effort in yourself. It has a reward. I mean, every cause has an effect. And if you are doing beneficial things for yourself, it has a positive effect on the other side, even if it doesn't seem like it. But
that's a good question.
It was very good. I got a fucked up question. You can go first, Grant.
Oh, God.
If you could only do one sex position for your life, what would you choose? Also, your partner has to agree with it as well. Can't believe someone asked this. It's what we get saying. All right.
I mean, one the rest of your life, and I feel like that has to just be plain and simple. I mean, it has to be mission.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, yeah,
it's versatile.
Yeah,
it's like there,
Yeah, it's not the most like exotic thing in the world, but
you can
gets the job done.
It does, and there's there's things you can do from there. So I would agree. All right. Julia said, I'm so grateful for the tribe. That's right. Be real with yourself. I love it. Let's see. Any others on here? Dude, I had to scroll through like 4 or 5 videos.
Did you finally get through them all?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Oh, and where the hell? Bonus right there, fam. Is there any in that? I know there's only a couple because I'm not sure those were doing this
just
on YouTube.
Saying that self-sabotaging does suck. But, and here's another thing too. Don't let that be a sounding effect. So let's say that, you know, because I've been there too. Like, let's say your depression does get the better of you.
It's just debilitating.
And, you know, you end up not going to the gym and you end up just eating a shit ton. Don't then let that compound and just put you in a spiral. Understand that one day is not going to make or break you. You know, get up, get after it tomorrow.
Well, that's also breaking the pattern.
Right.
Because if your pattern is you have a depression, anxiety episode, and it's a rough day, and you basically, because of that, you do a swan dive into a big batch of ice cream, and you're like, fuck, I feel like shit. Now you're even more depressed. And then you're like, well, fuck, I've already fucked it up. I'm going to just eat like an ass till Monday. And then it's just, that's a cycle. That is a predictable pattern, which means if next time you're anxious and having anxiety, depression issues, and you're going for the ice cream, and even if like you indulge, you're like, wait, no, that's the pattern. I'm outside the pattern now, because as soon as you recognize that's a pattern, you shut down the pattern. Yeah. I see people do this a lot. One of the things Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that you can do is we all because we become addicted to emotions that we experience every day that lead to set us up for similar futures that we had yesterday in our past. Is if you know what it is, let's say it's I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes, I'm going to start tomorrow. Whatever these negative things that lead up to actions, just acknowledging them, literally you're put at the gatekeeper. That's literally, if you know you naturally doubt or anxiety, or if you naturally want to it's actually applicable to fat loss. If you know your pattern, every other time you try to diet is to go to extremes, start over Monday. What's another normal one? I'll cut you off. Punish yourself with more cardio and things like, let's say those are your top three. You literally write those down and you're like, that's my pattern. Now you're the gatekeeper, knowing that those aren't allowed past. But see, because if you're not aware of the negative, you can't combat it. But if you know it's your pattern, what you've always done is start over Monday, go to crazy extremes, or punish yourself with guilt, more anxiety, and cardio, and no carbs and all this stuff, no carbs and stuff like that. If you know that's your pattern, now you're literally like Gandalf on the bridge. You're just like, you may not pass. So if, let's say you get into hear me out. So let's say you get into this diet and this journey, and all of a sudden you're like, I fucked up. Maybe I should just start over Monday. No, you're not allowed that, because now what you're doing, you're getting you shall not pass. Now you're outside of yourself. Now you broke the pattern. So let's say outside of fitness, I naturally worry, doubt, and fear as a whole. Believe it or not, those are like my baseline emotions. With some childhood and it's still shit that haunts me to this day too. Within the last 6 months, I have realized, even though my day to day is what it is, those are still baseline emotions that like to creep up. So it's like I literally like wrote those down, and I'm like, okay, this is a normal thing I think and say. This is a normal conversation I have with myself. This is a normal feeling I experience. So now every single time I experience any of those, a freaking alarm goes off, and I'm like, oh nope, this is the pattern. This is not me. This is the pattern I've been conditioned with. Right. And now I can adjust my actions accordingly. Now I'm getting outside myself. And I think from a fat loss side and a mental health side, it's huge to take that same approach. If you know these things that you struggle with, write them down. Now you're aware of them. Now you can combat them.
And then another thing too. So for those of you that have anxiety and depression, you guys are always the first people suffering from depression and anxiety. You have the best advice to give them, right?
Truth.
I mean, that's the one thing. I think that people with depression are by far the most, is it empathetic or sympathetic?
You're talking to the homeschool
I think
kid.
Empathetic. Yeah.
Same.
You are going to be the most empathetic to that person.
Sure.
I guarantee you that. That said, what would you tell your friend and apply that to you? You know, if your friend said, yeah, I've been struggling with depression for so long, and, I let it, get me down, and I just, I eat and I won't get to the gym. What would you say to your friend? Because I guarantee you, don't even listen to whatever the hell we have to say. I guarantee you have phenomenal advice to give them, and then give that advice to yourself.
Yeah, because I see the same thing happen when people get in a rut with their fitness and they're like, I don't know, I think I'm gonna, or like let's say you binge ate last night and you're like, I think I'm gonna like not days, or I think I'm gonna go to the gym and do 3 hours of cardio to punish myself. If your best friend came and asked you like, hey, I just binge ate, what should I do? You're not gonna tell your friend, yeah, you piece of shit, go do cardio, you fucking asshole. You're not gonna do that. We need to ask ourselves the same thing we need to tell ourselves the same thing we would tell our friends, because we're so much nicer to our friends than yourselves. Actually, I need to repost it. One of my best Instagram posts I've ever made is, if you talk to if someone talked to your best friend the way do you talk to yourself, would you? Because we all get defensive as fuck. Like someone's picking on your best friend, or you're out to eat or at a bar and someone's like shoving your friend around or just shit talking, and I'm gonna go beat some fucking ass. But my question is, if we're getting really off subject here, if it's good though, it's good. Topic. It's good. If I want to know if someone talked to your best friend the way that you talk to yourself, would you be pissed? And most people are like, oh shit. I know if I'm not careful, I would be mad as fuck. I would literally go there's times if I'm not careful, like with, let's say, fear, worry, doubt, second guessing, just the stuff that I will struggle with. And the internal dialogue in my head, I would be pissed if someone talked to my best friend that way.
Right.
I'd go whip some ass.
Right. I mean, it's really funny because, again, most people, like, if you're suffering from depression and you just think, yeah, I'm worthless. Yeah, this and that. And then someone were to tell that to your best friend, you'd be like, hey, motherfucker, they're not worthless. They're so much nicer than I am. I would literally just go smack their head off a table. No, I mean, that's the thing. And I really, maybe this is just me, but I know that people that have these issues are always I think it's empathetic, are always the most empathetic to others experiencing the same thing.
Truth.
So whatever you would tell that person, keep it for yourself. Tell yourself that. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. That was. Yeah. So no, there weren't any other questions? I think that was about it. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to publish this, and then I'm going to over on Facebook with the whole dieting and donuts with Jared and Grant community over there. Yep. But I don't know. I wonder if we should start doing it on YouTube every week. Maybe. I mean, that was one. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. So, all right, guys. So in the meantime, we will see you next week. Alrighty. Take care, guys. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, there it is.